Hi everyone. Last few days I participated in a couple of job interviews and I have found the question patterns most interviewers follow. It is mostly about Microsoft Excel formulas. I believe it will help you in your job interviews. Firstly, I will talk about date formula. Here, first, we will talk about add and subtract dates. Example, suppose you manage American Express credit card payments of your boss and due date first Saturday of every month and you want to transfer funds 5 days before due date. So, you will have to subtract 5 days from the due date. Here, it will be B4 plus C4 equal to D4. B4 is due date, C4 is expected fund transferring day. So I believe you get the point, right? Okay, next we will talk about add or subtract months from a date with the edate function. Here syntax is edate equal to first bracket start date comma month. Example, suppose you are managing 4 projects. You need to keep track of your projects ending dates. So type equal to edates first bracket b4 comma c4. Here b4 is start date, c4 is months. Another function is today. Today function can have 4 different syntax. Syntax 1 is equal to today first bracket and closing bracket, and syntax 2 is for days, syntax 3 is for month, and syntax 4 is for year. Today function gives you today's date with month and year. Example, syntax 1, if you type equal to today first bracket to any Excel cell, it returns you with today's date. Syntax 2, if you want to extract only the current day of the month, then just type equal to first bracket today first bracket closing bracket and another closing bracket. You get the day of the month. And syntax 3, it is used for only if you want to extract month, and syntax 4 if you want to extract only the year. Now we will talk about lookup formula. Firstly, we will talk about Xlookup function here. Syntax is Xlookup first bracket lookup value lookup array comma return array comma if not found comma match mode comma search mode. Xlookup function searches ranges or arrays and then returns similar, but if no match exists, then Xlookup can return the closest match to. Example, use Xlookup to look up a sales document number in a range and ask for LC number in return. It includes the lookup value cell B4, lookup array range B8 to B165, and return array range E8 to E165. Xlookup can return multiple results for you. Therefore, Xlookup is the king. Next, we will talk about Vlookup function. Syntax is Vlookup, first bracket, lookup value, comma, table array, comma, column number, comma, range lookup. Use Vlookup to look up data from a table or range. Example, use Vlookup to look up a sales document number in a range and ask for LC number in return, just like Xlookup. It includes the lookup value, just like Xlookup. It includes the lookup value cell B4, table array range B8 to B165, column index number will be 4, and range lookup will be false because we want an exact match. Vlookup cannot give multiple result like Xlookup. Therefore, use of Vlookup decreased. Next, we will talk about conditional formula. Here, firstly, we will talk about if function. Syntax is equal to if, logical test, value if true, comma, value if false. If function is the most popular function in Excel. You can use the if function to make comparisons between a value and what you expect. If statement can have 2 results. The first result if your comparison is true. The second result if your comparison is false. Example, You came from a holiday tour. You have a column of expense and you have actual spent amount. If you want to find your over budget and under budget expense, you can use if function. Here, it will be if D3 is greater than C3, comma, if true, it will be over budget, and if false, it will be under budget. Here, logical test is D3 greater than C3. Value if true is over budget and value if false is under budget. Next, we will talk about sum formula. Firstly, we will talk about here sum function. Syntax 1 is sum, first bracket, range to be summed. And syntax 2 is sum, first bracket, first range, comma, second range, comma, and so on. You can specify up to 200 numbers. Sum function adds values. You can add individual values, cell references, or ranges. Example, syntax 1. You came from a tour of Thailand, Indonesia, and Maldives. Find the individual expenses. If you use the syntax 1, you can find the individual expenses. Syntax 2. If you want to find the total expense of 3 countries together, you will have to use syntax 2. Next, we will talk about SUMIF function. Here, syntax is SUMIF, first bracket, range, comma, criteria, comma, sum range. You can use the SUMIF function to sum the value in a range that meets criteria. Here, example. Suppose you were supplying poor students who come back to school. You want to sum only the textbooks supplies amount. You can use the following formula equal to SUMIF C3 to C21, comma, quotation, textbooks, comma, cell number F3 to F21. Here, C3 to C21 is range, textbooks, is the criteria. Cell F3 to F21, we'll talk about count formula. Firstly, we will talk here countif function. Syntax is countif, first bracket, range, comma, criteria, closing bracket. Use example. Count the number of times clothes mentioned in the items list. Here, just type equal to countif, first bracket, select C3 to C21, comma, and double quotation mark, clothes. C3 to C21 is range, clothes is the criteria. Next, we will talk about text formula. Here, firstly, we will talk about concatenate function. Syntax is equal to concatenate, first bracket, text1, comma, text2, comma, and so on. Use concatenate function to add spaces or punctuation. Type the item in quotation marks between the cells or values you want to connect. You can use it to join 2 or more text strings into one. Next, we will talk about math formula. Here we will talk about average function. Firstly, syntax 1 is equal to average, first bracket, range to find average, closing bracket. Syntax 2 is average, first bracket, number 1 selection, comma, and number 2 selection, comma, and so on. You can specify, use it to find the average of a range of numbers. It returns the average of the arguments. Example, syntax 1. You came from tour of Thailand, Indonesia, and Maldives. Find the individual expense average. Syntax 2. If you want to find the average of expense of 3 countries together, you will have to use syntax 2. This is the average expense of 3 countries' individual average expense. So, I believe next time when you go to job interview, these formulas will help you to shine. This is it for today. I will see you soon.